All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 150 of the 815 Exchange. And my, this is going to be the most scuffed, chaotic episode of this show, quite possibly ever. Besides some of the early guest episodes, those were very, but there's a lot going on, all right? It's Sunday. It is Sunday. It is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to my father who's upstairs. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there in the world. Shout out to the single mothers as well that are holding it down as fathers. But yes, happy Father's Day. So welcome to the 150th episode, which should normally be like a special episode with a bunch of guests and, all that stuff. But no. I go to Atlanta tomorrow, so I thought about doing this in Atlanta, but I probably would not have time to do it in Atlanta. So I have to do it today. On Father's Day, on Sunday, which feels a lot like last summer. Feels a lot like last summer's episodes when we were recording on Sunday. Of course, it's ring season. All right, it's ring season in the NHL and NBA, so we got to talk about the championships that happened last week. We got soccer going on, so I'll be live broadcasting. Whoever wins the UEFA Nations League is Spain and Croatia are tied up 0-0 currently. TCU and Virginia are playing right now, so we even got live broadcast of what's happening. We just watched the Canadian Grand Prix. There's a lot going on. Okay, there's a lot going on, but we're going to still make it enjoyable. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content, as always. And if there's anything you were looking for in this life, it can be found in the description. So timestamps, you want to really hear me talk about the Stanley Cup Final or the NBA Final, whatever it is, feel free to skip ahead, and we'll talk about it there. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's get this show on the road. All right, let's get this show on the road. And normally I do the NHL and the NBA. I usually throw those in the back because it's the main event, right? It's the championship season, ring season. It's what you're here for, right? You're here to hear me talk about trophies, but not doing that today. All right, we're gonna anchor them. Okay, one's gonna be at the end, one's gonna be at the beginning. We're gonna start off with the NHL today. All right, the Stanley Cup Final, the Vegas Golden Knights. For the first time in Vegas Golden Knight history, as we used to say for the past 5 years, but we can no longer say it ironically, have won the Stanley Cup. Yes, and they destroyed Florida. I'm gonna be completely honest. They obliterated the Panthers here in Game 5. It was not close. They came out home ice and said, we're closing the show. We're shutting it down. We're not doing 6. We're not doing 7. We're not doing any of it. Game 5, we're closing the show. We didn't get the sweep. Doesn't matter. Done with it. 9 goals. 9 goals, which I think tied or set a Stanley Cup Final record. Mark Stone joined, I don't even remember, actually. It wasn't a Gretzky record, which I was surprised about, but is the second captain to ever score a hat-trick in the Stanley Cup Final, scoring 3 of Vegas' 9 goals against Florida. Yeah, he had a hat-trick of goals. Eichel had a hat-trick of assists, finished with 26 points. Led the playoffs in scoring. Buffalo Sabres fans, how do you feel? I mean, how do you feel? Sabres organization, how do you feel? Your franchise, Ike, supposed to be the one. He was the chosen one behind the chosen one, who is currently the best player on the face of this earth, Connor McDavid. It was McDavid and Eichel. And right behind them, it was Matthews. That was the nucleus. That was the three musketeers of just near generational or generational talent that was entering the league that would help shape it. And while we've seen Matthews and McDavid go on to reach these, meteoric heights, these massive avenues of success, Ike had to deal with injury, had to deal with frustration, got stripped of his captaincy, got traded away, sent to Vegas to get the surgery, the experimental surgery that could work, could not work, could have been the end of his career. But you know what? Here we are today, here, June 18, 2023, and Jack Eichel is a Stanley Cup champion, and not just because he rode the Vegas Golden Knights to a Stanley Cup. No. He is a Stanley Cup champion because he helped push this Vegas Golden Knights past the barriers that have been in front of them. They've been close. They've been close the past couple years. They've been class, really, since they came in, since they started as an expansion team. They started this wave of, successful expansion teams. They've been close, but Eichel put them over the top. He has been that true superstar throughout this NHL playoffs. He finishes with the most points, but Jonathan Marchand wins the Conn Smythe, letting goals. He was big time here in the Stanley Cup Finals. He was great. He was great. Well-deserved Conn Smythe. There was a lot of people could have won it. Eichel could have won it. Marshall could have won it. Aiden Hill, the goalie for Vegas, could have won it. It was a really, really good team effort. Vegas was the best team. And the best team, not all the time wins in sports, so to speak. But here in the Stanley Cup, here in the NHL, really, it happens quite a lot. And it happened this year. Vegas was the best team. They got it done. They beat the Panthers. Panthers, I'm not going to say they'll be back. But, you know, this could be a momentum starter and kind of really help turn that organization into a potential wave of success. But we will see. But congrats to Vegas. Well-deserved. Marshall on the Conn Smythe. Eichel for getting it. Stone for getting his captain. And, yeah, shout out to the original 6. But, yeah, Vegas gets it done. VGK, they up. Let's talk baseball. Because Shohei Ohtani, who has hit a home run today, that game is still going on. So he might have hit number 25 as I'm speaking, but I haven't gotten an alert. But he hit number 24 about 30 minutes ago before I started this show. Ohtani is leading this is not an exaggeration. He is leading the Los Angeles or Anaheim Angels, whatever you want to call them. He is leading them in every single category. Every single category. It does not make any sense. I mean, it's like, you could even do it on the show until I guess Ohtani appeared. I believe he can be a two-way player now, but it's unheard of. He's leading in batting average, OPS, OBP, home runs, stolen bases, wins, ERA, WHIP. Every single metric you can to, you know, analyze a player, he is leading that team. It's not an MVP race. It's his to lose. Bar injury, it is Ohtani's to lose. I say that as a beloved New York Yankee fan. But AJ, of course, has been on the IL. And unless he hits 60 again, no. And even if he hits 60, Ohtani's, again, that just doesn't make any sense. Ohtani has been ridiculous this past week, and he's been ridiculous so far for the Angels. A once-in-a-lifetime player, not a generational talent. A once-in-a-lifetime talent Ohtani is. We will see how he continues his season. The Athletics. I talked about how god-awful they were. Well, they struck back a little bit the past 2 weeks, so I decided to give them a little bit of a mention. Of course, they had that reverse boycott that really, really well. Even Bryce Harper, who is a stand-up guy, wore cleats while, bashing them. The Phillies are about to sweep them, but nonetheless showed the support. You know, the A's fans have been turning up a lot more, just trying to get a sell of the team, get new ownership, and kind of get a new direction for the Athletics. We will see what happens. I always hate to see, teams get moved away from their cities unless the cities are just like, not behind them. But Oakland is still behind the A's, so hopefully that kind of works itself out. But the Athletics are still god-awful. We will see what happens. Unfortunately, they don't have the first pick in this draft. Still very high. But that belongs to the Pirates, and oh boy, do they have a decision to make. But before we talk about the decision they make, let's talk about the game before that in college baseball. Wake Forest took out Stanford 3-2 to avoid the elimination game that's going to happen tomorrow, as you probably are watching this, or may have already watched this. But yes, Brock Wilken, okay? We talk about him on a weekly basis now. He is that guy, okay? He is simply that guy. The pink sleeve, the hair, the number, he's him. All right, Brock Wilken is him. I don't know who else I need to say. He is him. He is him, okay? 31 home runs. He ties Cags atop the board in the NCAA. But you know what? Danny Corona, okay, was not that guy in the ACC tournament. When we were there, we were talking about him. He was god-awful. A miserable performance, honestly, to be blunt, to be completely honest with you. He was bad. It was like an instant strikeout. I put down the camera every time I knew Danny Corona was going up at bat because I was like, nothing's going to happen unless I wanted to catch a strikeout. But in this NCAA tournament, he has been, statistically speaking, the best offensive force. Even better than Wilken, even better than Cruz, even better than Cags, even better than Wyatt. Danny Corona has been the guy, okay? He's hitting 500-something here in the NCAA tournament. 6 home runs out of his last 8 at-bats or something crazy. Corona has been on fire, okay? He's been on fire. And he got the big RBI. I think he had a double to put them ahead of Stanford. It was a really, really good game. And yeah, got it done. He's been different here in the NCAA tournament. We'll see what happens. Wake, though, looking really good. Playing the part of the number 1 overall team. LSU, of course, has the 2 top prospects in all of baseball. college, international, minor leagues, the two best. Dylan Cruz, Paul Skenes. Cruz went 2 for 5 yesterday. All right, he wasn't bad, but Paul Skenes looked like the number one overall pick. Okay, he looked like the pick the Pirates need to make. Cause boy, oh boy, was he ridiculous. 6-3 win for LSU, and it was 6-1 win, or 6-2, excuse me, or 5-2 when he left out. He was dominant. 100-mile-per-hour fastball, a disgusting sinker, everything. The whole arsenal, just disgusting. It was like watching a professional pitcher pitch against high schoolers. It was not fair. For the first 7 innings of this game, it was not fair. Tennessee could do nothing to him. Nothing. 12 Ks in this game for Skenes. He was ridiculous. He's been ridiculous all season. He has a 1.88 ERA. He's over 200 Ks for the season. Just dominant. Dominant performance. LSU actually started to look human once he came out, but were able to close the game and get the win over their rivals. Tennessee, of course, will go to the elimination game where they will need to win to stay in. LSU will continue playing on and playing in favor. We will see what happens, but yeah, I had to talk about that LSU team, which is overloaded on talent, but I don't know if they are the best team in college baseball. Of course, like I said, we got TCU and Virginia going on right now. I will check that score live. Trey Richardson has kept the momentum, but yes, Virginia 3-2, bottom of the 7th currently. Live update: Ethan Anderson just homered. So yeah, that one looks like it's going down to the wire. Fontenelle has been sacrificing himself, but has 2 RBIs. The elusive 0-2, but 2 RBIs stat line. TCU, Virginia, pretty evenly matched. I did, before this, probably said Virginia's the favorites, but they have underwhelmed or played down, should I say, the comp. ACC tournament, they got upset. They were number 1 seed. Or they were number 2 seed, I think, behind Wake. Have Kyle Till. Have all this talent, but they've played down to competition. You cannot play down to competition here in the tournament. Cannot do it. Cannot do it. Especially even with everybody at this high level, you have to play to expectation and beyond. Virginia hasn't always done that, so we will see if they pay for it. TCU is up right now in the elimination game. And then Oral Roberts in Florida play tonight. We will see what happens. Florida, of course, looking really good. Like I said, they got Cags, Rivera, and, of course, Wyatt Langford, who's probably going number 3 in the draft. But we will see what happens. Baseball season, like I said, in full swing, heating up. We'll see what happens next week, though, in the College World Series. Now, entertainments, as I take a unofficial water sponsor, Deer Park. Walter Berg. Spain is about to score. Spain, oh my goodness, what a save. What a save. I'm not gonna cut this out. Wow, I do not know how Fati scored that. I do not know how Fati did not score that. But we'll talk about that in the roundup. For now, let's talk about entertainment. Like I said, all right, The Flash. We got to see The Flash this weekend. This entertainment segment is going to be a tale of 2 scales. Greatness and then not so much of greatness. The Flash, by all means, was not a bad movie. Despite Ezra Miller being a complete menace to society and this somehow getting pulled off, even though a lot of people question whether we even should have gotten this movie to be released. Despite that, it was an okay movie. It was a pretty good movie. It was an enjoyable movie. Not even the best multiversal movie, of course, released in the past 2 weeks. That still goes to the Spider-Verse. But it was a solid movie. Ezra wasn't bad. He wasn't like some all-time great performance good, as some early things came out and were like, yo, Ezra's unbelievable. He was good. He was decent Barry Allen. So no complaints. He really showed the emotional weight, though, of the movie. I think it told a really good story. Of course, Michael Keaton stole the show. Sasha Calle is Supergirl. Also stole the show. The CGI didn't really affect me as much as a lot of people. I know that was the big discussion this past weekend about The Flash. Was the CGI wasn't good. The CGI wasn't good because of when he's in the Speed Force, it looks like they're clay. Which I get it's the choice. I wasn't too pressed. I'm not going to lie to you. I wasn't too pressed about it. I've seen more CGI in superhero movies. It wasn't good, but it necessarily wasn't the worst ever or too alarming for me. I kind of got what they were going for, so maybe that's why it didn't affect me so much. But yeah, it was okay. Keaton stole the show. Sasha Calle needs to be Supergirl in the main DCU. And yeah, if you want to watch it, feel free to. It's not a bad movie. But yeah, nothing, to write home about or anything special. But on the other hand, Gunna. You know, y'all can call him a snitch, y'all can call him whatever. I'm going to keep listening. Especially when he drops a special. I mean, he dropped a special project on Friday nights. Or Friday morning, should I say. I mean, a special project. A gift and a curse. Gunna has returned, and boy, oh boy. I am out of respect for the fact that I am not on a second listen of this album, not going to give it a 10. I was on the verge of giving this a 10. I'm going to give it a tentative 9.6. This is one of the best albums of the year. I'm telling you right now. It might be the best album of the year. We'll see. But it was that good. It was that good. It was incredible to go through each song and just be like, yeah, this is hidden. This is his sound. This is hidden. I don't know if it's because we hadn't heard Gunna in a while or what it was, but he was on a different level. Or maybe it's because he was hungry. Dealing with all this stuff, the media, the snitch allegations, the going to jail, all that stuff. Maybe he was hungry, but Gunna was moving different on this project. Elite tier project from Gunna, a classic. Back to the Moon, Fuck You Mean, were my two favorites. We will see if they hold up as my favorites. But yeah, those were my two standouts amongst an album of standout tracks. Near perfect. Near perfect, no exaggeration. One of the best projects of the year. Go listen to it. It gets the ultimate cosign for me. This may be a retroactive 10. No exaggeration. We'll see, but yeah, this may be a retroactive 10. But for now, a 9.6. Gunna is back and better than ever. The National Basketball Association, the last NBA segment until next week. Yes, you thought I was going to say no. This is the last NBA segment until we talk about the draft next week. But before we get into that, let's talk about what happened on Monday. I mean, I said it. I can't remember the last time I got an NBA. I really can't. And it's not me being. I can't remember the last time I got an NBA prediction wrong here in the playoffs. When was the last time? Maybe I got one wrong in the first round. But every time I've said a game or a series was going to end that night, or maybe I think Miami won a game, or excuse me, the Celtics won a game and pushed it to 6. Correct. So I think that might have been the last time I missed, so to speak. But every time I've said a series is going to end, it has ended. It has ended on that day. And once again, to nobody's surprise, the Denver Nuggets are in fact your NBA champions, if you did not know by the massive celebration that's been going on the past week. Okay, they got it done. Ring season. Congratulations to the Nuggets. Joker wins Finals MVP once again to absolutely, positively nobody's surprise. He had 28 and 16 here in the final game. Joker was Joker. Like I said, time to have that uncomfortable conversation I've been talking about. I have been long waiting. Now, I will get a panel. I am due for a guest episode, really, and to just talk. So that is Spain nearly scored for, if you're wondering about the Spain-Croatia game, as you continue to live tweet, or live say this during the podcast. Asensio passed the net. Anyways, Joker is a top 10 big man of all time. I'ma say Finals MVP, 2 MVPs, the skill set, the numbers, the championships. He's just got to accumulate at this point. He's just got to accumulate the statistical numbers, and it cements his place. But he's a top 10 big man of all time, in my opinion. He's an all-time great. This ring makes him an all-time great. Cements it. Everything now is just cherry almost on top. It's how far up that list do we want to push him? But he's top 10 now. In my opinion, of course, like I said, I want to do a guest episode, and we'll bring people on, and we'll have a nice little round table, and we'll talk about all that. But in my personal opinion, Jokic, top 10 all time. We can argue it, but I think he has a very compelling case. But yes, he also has a very compelling case for best player on the planet currently. But yeah, Joker did what Joker does. MPJ was big time. Now, somebody needs to step up. Now, Murray didn't have his best game, but MPJ stepped up, especially in those first 3 quarters. He finishes with 16 and 13. Wasn't his most efficient night. Really, it was nobody's most efficient night. This was like a mid-2000s finals game. I'm going to be completely honest in terms of defense, in terms of efficiency, score. It was a mid-2000s finals game in its truest form. But yeah, MPJ had 16-13. Somebody had to step up. He was the guy. Denver had a bunch of people that could have stepped up and stepped up multiple times to help push them over. AG, Bruce Brown, Christian Braun, Jamal Murray, of course, and Joker. Just they were the best. They were a simply better team. This was a team that had a lot of potential, and a lot of people earmarked them as a potential championship contender, but they put it all together in this run. So, yeah, shout out to MPJ. Jimmy Butler forgot he was playing in the NBA Finals until the last 2 minutes. Once again, the Jimmy Butler special. 5 for 18, 21 points. I think I literally word for word. I said 5 for 29 because I was being, sarcastic. But I think I said he was going to end up with a super inefficient night and 21 points. And that's exactly what happened. And he missed what would have been the game winner. So, yeah, that also went to, I'll probably pop up that text if I can find it right here. But, yeah, just the classic Jimmy Butler special, man. Classic Jimmy Butler special. When he's not, most dangerous Jimmy. Just regular Jimmy. And regular Jimmy's not going to win you a championship. So, yeah, he's 0 for 2. And he said he wouldn't accept his Hall of Fame. He was wilding. All right, Jimmy was just at his worst. We've seen Jimmy Butler at his best here in the playoffs, and we've also seen him at his absolute most unbearable. So we will see what happens. But yeah, 0 for 2 for Jimmy. Bam finishes 20 for 12. So once again, another good game for Bam, but just can do nothing about Joker. They shot 25% from 3. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Miami, for a variety of reasons you could have said, did not end up winning the championship here. But simply put, I will say it like this. The Denver Nuggets were better. Just better. That's all I can say. Now, NBA draft is this week. It's on Thursday. We already know who the number 1 overall pick is. I do not even need to. It's Victor Wembanyama. We've known this for the past 3 seasons. Wemby is in fact the number 1 overall pick. He is a San Antonio Spur. We've known for a month. Congratulations to Wemby ahead of time. Now, the number 2 overall pick is a lot more interesting. All right. Some people have, the Pelicans apparently are trying to trade up. Who are they going to give up? Will they trade Zion? Will they trade BI? Will they even get a deal? Who knows? We don't know who the Hornets are going to pick. At first, everybody was like, oh, yeah, it's Brandon Miller. Now everybody's like, yo, Scoot and LaMelo can play, and Scoot had a better workout, apparently, so maybe it's Scoot. Nobody knows what the Hornets are doing with the number 2 overall pick. Michael Jordan sold the team. It's a new era. All right, Lord knows what the team in the 704 is going to do, but of course, it's very close to home, so I will be seated. All right, I will be seated, waiting to see what happens, but personally, I hope it's Scoot, but we will see what happens. Of course, let's not forget about Portland, who also could trade that pick, or, pick up whoever's left of Scoot or B. Miller. But nobody really knows because they can even trade it. Nobody knows. Chaos. Chaos. All right, it is straight up chaos. Past the number 1 overall pick. This past week is just descending into chaos. The Wizards are trading Bradley Beal. I don't know who's going to take him. Apparently the Suns want him, which is hilarious. Because what do the Suns have to trade for Bradley Beal? I mean, nothing. You have no depth. That was kind of a problem this year for y'all. Y'all got rid of CP3. So I don't know if Bradley Beal, KD, and Devin Booker, and then a bunch of G Leaguers is good enough to win a championship. Me personally, I don't know. But what do I know? So I'm not so sure about that. But that's what that was reported. But we will see. We will see if he gets traded. And of course, Ja Morant was sentenced to death. 25 games for reckless activity, I believe is what they called it, or whatever. Just being Ja, okay? Ja Wick, 4K trade draw. Adam Silver said, we can't do it no more. I'm going to give you 25 games. Now, I saw some people being like, yo, he might get out half the season. But 25 sounds about right. What I was expecting. We will see what happens, as I always say. But that's a big loss. That's a big loss, though. That's a quarter of the season. So that is a big... That's actually over a quarter of the season. And I don't know how good this Grizzlies team is without him. And 25 games can be a big switch in terms of where you are playoff position, if you're in the play-in, if you're not, if you're even in the playoffs or in the lottery. So, yeah, that's a big swing of games. We're going to see what happens, though. But, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Grizzlies invest a lot more in depth in this offseason, especially with Ja being out. We'll see if Ja cleans up his act. I'm not wholly convinced, but Nike's backing him. The Grizzlies are backing him. We'll see, hopefully, because he's one of the best young players in the world. And because the way we're going to need him for Team USA, hopefully Ja gets it together. But we will see what happens if he can change his ways, as Adam Silver and everybody else is saying. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the Roundup Motorsport. I literally waited for the Canadian Grand Prix to end because I was like, it's the one event going on during the day that I will not miss. I will miss, what is it that's going on? Is the Wyndham or the U.S. Open that's going on right now. Wyndham Clark, and Ricky Fowler are both tied at 10. But that doesn't kick off until when I'll probably be eating dinner or editing this. So unfortunately, I can't talk about that. But can't talk about NASCAR because they're off this week. So you know, we had F1. So here we go. Canadian Grand Prix. Do I really need to tell you who won this? Okay, I don't. You know, I popped up his picture. He won. Again. 9th straight win for Red Bull. He's winning the World Drivers' Championship, number 3. He did it again, okay? More interestingly, the other 2 world champions in the field finished 2nd and 3rd. Alonso was able to hold off Hamilton at the end, even with the DRS, with everything, the strategy. He was able to hold on. Yeah, Fernando gets another podium for Fernando. You love to see it. Lewis gets on the podium as well. So, yeah, very wholesome. Very wholesome and a whole lot of wins in that front 3. Low, Ham. George Russell crashed out, was in last behind, Logan Sargent went out in like the 6th minute, the 6th lap of the race. So basically, 19th was last. So George Russell was last after crashing out, didn't have a wing. They put a wing back on. He fought all the way back up to 7th, but then had to bow out of the race. But either way, good drive for him. Alexander Albon was great. Lando Norris, even though he got a penalty, was great. So yeah, a lot of good things. Ferrari didn't completely botch strategy. So a lot of good things could have been taken from the Canadian Grand Prix. Though it was rough for some people. Kevin Magnussen, Nick DeVry, as always. Sargent, Russell. Took some L's, but there were some W's. There were some W's in the midfield. Wasn't a bad race, but you know, we all know how the F1 race is in. So it's not really too much suspense going around them, but that's what happened. Soccer. As Croatia and Spain are headed to extra time for your update in that game, Jude to Real Madrid. It finally happened. That midfield is disgusting. It is disgusting. It is revolting. Valverde to Shimi, Camavinga, who's technically a left back now, but either way, and Jude Bellingham with Vinny and Rodrigo. They're set. They don't need to buy anybody for the next 10 years up top. Even though they might buy Mbappe, apparently, because Mbappe doesn't want out, but he's not re-signing, so PSG wants him out. It's a whole saga. It's kicking off again. All right, it's all kicked off again. We will see what happens. But for now, Perez got his guy, but not the Frenchman. He got the Englishman. Jude headed over to Real Madrid. He looked good in the jersey. So we will see if he ascends that legendary box-to-box status. But Real Madrid certainly look like they've got their midfield sorted for the next 10 billion years. UFC had an event this week. Jared Cannonier broke the middleweight strikes record and number 4 all time against the Orc himself, Marvin Vettori, and then called for a title shot. Adesanya is tired of fighting the same people, so he wasn't a big fan of that. But Cannonier, he's 2-0 against top contenders, so technically he kind of has an argument, but you know, I wouldn't rate him against Izzy. But nonetheless, he UD's Vettori, 241 strikes landed. Ridiculous. Torres had a elbow. If you know, you know. For the sake of me being monetized, I can't post it. Also for copyright reasons. But it was vicious. It was ugly. I mean, good gracious. If I could show a replay of it, I would. But my goodness, just go look it up. Torres, Hellbow, disgusting. UFC event though, really good this past week. Really deep card for a UFC, just like Fight Night or Vegas or Apex. So, yeah, not bad. We will see what happens there with Cannonier. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of episode 150. Chaos still reigns. I don't know if Virginia is still available or if TCU has won this game. Croatia and Spain are in extra time. It is Father's Day. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be in Atlanta for the week. We might do a reaction video up there. We will see what happens. But for now, Ocho signing off.